Hello, hello. It is Functional Faith Friday. I'm Crystal, and this is Kingston, and we are your holistic spirituality coaches, practitioners, guides, whatever you'd like to call us.
Peeps.
Four
Friends.
peeps. All right. So, in Functional Faith, we help you to experience the divine all the time, even in dysfunction and doubt. We believe that the foundation of a holistic spirituality is spiritual practices, spiritual exercises, and we teach 12 of those in our 6-week program that's running right now. And we also believe in 6 pillars to healthy spirituality. Those are functional feelings, functional food, functional fitness, functional fidelity, functional family, and functional finance.
That's right.
We are currently running a challenge for our functional fidelity pillar, an intimacy challenge, and a sex challenge.
A what challenge?
Right in time for Valentine's Day.
Did you hear what
for
you
married
said?
couples.
I didn't hear what you
That's
said.
the type of fun stuff that we do in Functional Faith. And tonight we are going to be talking about, our topic is self-acceptance or complacency, because our theme this month is just kind of like love in general. And this week we've been focusing on self-love and
Right.
self-acceptance. Were you gonna say something there?
I was co-signing.
Okay, great. All right.
Right.
And so we're just going to go ahead and dive in. Let us know if you are watching live with us this evening, or if you are catching the replay, you can type in #replay.
Yeah.
And let us know if you have any thoughts about self-acceptance. If you think of any questions or comments, you can leave them and we'll be able to see them and respond to you. So self-love, self-acceptance. It's important. It's so important. And
it is. It's key.
Yeah, and I know that I struggle with it. Ironically enough, like this week, I struggled with self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Something that was really good that was said in an interview that we posted this week with Erica Walker. She said, accept, oh no, I'm gonna butcher it. Accept what was and now what is.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so good. And if you missed that interview, make sure you check it out. That was one of our Testify Tuesdays. And I was just like, whoa. And that's exactly what I was struggling with this week, was accepting what was, accepting the past, and now really stepping into and owning like who I am today. And like accepting myself for like just the woman that I've become, not seeing myself as who I used to be. So accept what was and now what is.
Right.
And so when thinking about like this Functional Faith Friday, what we would discuss tonight, I just thought like, okay, but like,
what's the difference between that and, oh, well, you just better accept me the way that I am.
Right.
I'm good the way that I am. I don't need to change nothing. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Don't tell me what I know.
Raise your hand if you've been guilty of this. Like, let us know in the comments if you've been guilty. Like,
Nope.
Saying like, no, like you, like, no one's gonna change me. Like, this is just who I am. And
Right.
if you have a problem with that, that's on you. Like, I'm gonna do me.
Yeah.
Tell me you've never said at least once, I'm gonna do me.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that there's something that's always wrong. I'm not saying that that's always wrong. There's certainly a time and a place where you know the vision and the call upon your life, you know your dreams and your passions and your strengths. And it's just like, I'm gonna do me. Like, I'm not gonna let anyone stand in the way. I'm not going to let other people's opinions who don't pay my bills call the shots in my life. That's different.
Or other people's opinions who are operating out of fear.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
That's different. But we're saying when someone has legitimately brought up constructive criticism,
Yeah.
maybe it's someone that you love who's come to you in love and said,
you're coming across this way, or
and maybe it was your spouse, and that I feel like it's really hard for me to hear it. Like, somebody else could say it to me, I'd be like, okay, I could see that. But then he says it, and I'm like, excuse me? Okay, maybe I shouldn't have did that live.
Why? I ain't gonna hold it against you.
But what, where is the line
like
between accepting ourselves for who we are and being stuck in things that we identify with, that we say is a part of our who we are, but it's not really.
Right.
Because sometimes we can say, oh, that's just the way I am, and it's kind of an excuse. It's a limiting belief.
Yeah.
So how do we kind of flesh that out? So the first thing we want to talk about is if we're not growing, we're dying, right?
Yeah.
And we see that like throughout nature, right? If just generally speaking, if something isn't growing, then it's dying. If a plant isn't growing, it's dying, which I kill so many plants.
Yeah.
But it's generally true. If it's not growing, then it's not healthy.
Complacency is a myth, really, because
talk to us about that.
I just don't think that you can really ever be complacent because of this fact that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're being, it's like the man who took his talent and he buried it. You know what I mean? Like that was a complacent move, but did he stay complacent? Did the master say, "Oh well, that's okay. You just get to keep everything that you already had"? And no, he went backwards. You know, like cast him out. You know, so complacency is, from what I see, because if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving forward, and what we believe, if you're not being transformed by the Spirit, then you're not just staying the same. You know, life is piling all kinds of challenges on you that you're succumbing to, and your shadow and your flesh and everything. It's all kind of moving you backwards and dragging you down.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I guess that's like when the Bible's talking about being lukewarm.
Yeah.
Like it's, if you're neither cold nor hot, like it's like that's interesting that you bring up like the parable of the talents, because like, what was the motivation? What kept him complacent, if that's what we want to call it? What prevented him from actually?
Well, he said it was fear. Yeah.
It was fear, and that's kind of what we're gonna get into next. Let me see: fear of success and fear of failure. So I think for him, it was more of the fear of failure, because he said he felt like the master was like a harsh man, right?
Yeah. And
so like we have this fear of failure, and that can keep us complacent, and we're just like, oh, I'm just gonna accept where I am in life. I'm just gonna accept, and that's not the same as self-acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about our pillars. Let's say you got somebody who knows that they're overweight and they want to get in shape, functional fitness, right? And they say, well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna do me. Just take me for what I am. And they accept a complacent place. Well, they're going to continue to get more and more and more out of shape in their complacency. They're not just going to stay where they are. They're going to get more and more out of shape.
That's a touchy one, because we should accept our bodies exactly as they are today. I think that does help lend us to like where we kind of, it's not even necessarily like a line.
Oh, we should accept everything about us just as it is right now.
It's not like where's the line between self-acceptance and self-complacency and complacency. It's more like we accept ourselves, but we also pursue change at the same time.
Right. Well, because it's like
we love, and that goes back to the quote.
So here's another analogy.
Accept what was, and now it is. Loving what is.
Here's another analogy. If I say, well, growing to me is, we'll just use monetary value. It's like growing to me is like having $1 million in my bank account. And if I get in my mind, I think we do this sometimes, like with relationship goals, or with even financial goals, or with weight loss goals, or with getting in shape goals, or with all these things that are tied into all of our pillars. We say, well, it's not success if it's not $1 million. But then that would be like saying, well, if I don't get $1 million in my bank account, then I'm not grown. And then somebody comes and saying, hey, here's $10, and we say, no, $10. That's me not accepting what is, what's being offered right then and there that is towards my goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we can be complacent, but then we can also covet.
Right. And if we get to a point where, like, going back to the fitness, if we get to a point where we're despising our body, and that's what's motivating us to change, it's not going to be a lasting motivation.
And that's not growth. We could actually lose the weight or make the gains or whatever,
but then still have insecurity with something else. Yeah.
And that's not holistic growth. That's not what we're after. We're after self-love, right? And acceptance means no matter where I am, no matter what stage of life I'm in, whatever is going on, I accept myself as I am, but I love myself enough to allow God to come in and transform me, to give me more life, more abundance, more health, so that I can serve others out of that abundance, and
Right.
and it can be to my joy. So yeah, but like that's so interesting because fear so often is, I think, what muddies those waters for us. Fear is so often what gets in our way, and like we were saying, it's the fear of failure and the fear of success. And maybe let us know if you heard of the fear of success before, because that can catch you off guard. Fear of failure, it's so ingrained in us at a young age. We're very familiar with it. When we go to school, we feel like we have to be perfect. If you get an answer, it's just right or wrong. If you fail a test, like you failed. Like there's like you're afraid of failing because you can't make it up. Like sometimes there's some bonus points you can get, but basically it's just black and white. And there's this fear of failure because everything is merit based, and if you don't pass, it's over. And it's so tied to our self-worth and our value from such a young age. And then we're taught that it's wrong to ask for help, because if you're taking a test, you can't ask the kid next to you who knows it better. So then we feel like we're afraid of failing, but we can't ask for help. It's just all this fear that's poured in from the beginning. So we're very familiar with the fear of failure. What if I don't get into the school I want to get into? What if I don't get the job? What if I don't get the promotion? What if I don't get the spouse? What if? This is fear of failure. But then when there's the fear of success, it's like, whoa, but what if it does work out? Then what expectations are going to be put on me? What if it does work out and then people are jealous, or people look down on me, or people whatever?
What if it does work out and I change?
What if it works out and I change and I'm
not for the worse?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many fears, and so it leaves us complacent a lot of the time,
but
still and stagnant.
But does it?
No, because we're moving backwards.
Right.
Yeah, we're not moving forward. We're actually moving backwards. So what do we need to do? We need to be still and move.
What?
So what do we mean by that? Right? Well, the Bible says to be still and know that I'm God. So does that mean that we don't, look for a new job, that we don't try to become a better parent, or we don't try to become a better lover, a better spouse? No. Be still is a disposition of our souls, of our hearts. And when we practice the spiritual discipline of stillness, and even when we're in the workplace or in the marketplace, or homeschooling the kids or running around, we have this inner peace, this inner stillness of the soul while we are moving. It's that inner stillness that allows us to move out of the right motivation.
It's that inner stillness that helps us to respond to the world around us instead of constantly reacting to the world around us. Because we're able to see things for what they are a little bit more clearly. So whenever somebody comes and, like, if somebody says something that's a little off and is offensive, instead of reacting and out of the self and coming back at them, we might think, man, what are they going through that would have them feel that way? Because obviously they feel pretty upset right now. And then it actually puts us in a position to love them and to potentially even minister to them.
Yeah,
but that only happens if we have that stillness.
Right. And it's when we have that stillness that we're able to accept who we are in that moment and move towards change, plant those seeds, and allow God to grant the increase, because we have this stillness and this knowing inside that we can move out of, that we can function and pursue healing, pursue change, pursue growth, but without the anxiety, the desperation, the scarcity mindset, because we have the stillness inside. So be still and move, right? And then the last thing we want to talk about is love is change.
Yeah.
Like, let's just sit on that for a minute. Love is change. Like, God loved us so much that God changed into one of us. Like, God loved us so much that God went from being the source of life, of all energy,
To
of
experiencing death.
all, to experiencing death. What a change that is. What a transformation that is.
Yeah.
Right? So God, like, that is love. Love is change. When you come into relationship with somebody, when you have a partner in life, when you have a spouse, you already know. Like, if you've gone through
Yeah.
that, like, you have to constantly change. Like, you have to change from the get, right? Like, you have to change and accommodate their wants, their needs, their habits, their, daily rituals and routines. You have to change in order for that relationship to work, and you do that out of love.
Right.
um, when you have kids, so much changes, and you change because you love them and you see their needs and their wants, and you change. And it doesn't end in the baby phase, right? And then in relationship with
Dang, we ain't in the
anybody.
baby phase anymore with all our kids.
Stop. This is not the time for
It's like,
that.
how are you talking about us not being in the baby phase? We still in the baby phase, but we're not.
And then in any relationship that you have, people are ever changing. And so we have to change in our relationship with everyone all the time. So love is change. And in our relationship with ourselves, we are changing, and we have to change how we view ourselves. We have to change, man, we have to change what we know of ourselves. We have to change the tapes that we play in our mind. We have to change our, I don't know, just our perspective.
Yeah.
On who we are and what we're here to do. Like, I know personally, like, my vision for my life has changed and changed and changed. And it's left me feeling very, like, volatile. It's left me feeling very angsty because I'm like, but I thought it was this and now it's that. And then I thought it was that and now it's this. But loving myself, loving yourself is changing who you know yourself to be and how you love yourself. Sometimes it's changing your self-care regimen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's changing your budget and what you allot for different areas because you have different needs in a new season. Love is change.
Yeah.
So loving ourselves and accepting ourselves looks like changing and growing and being open to transformation, and maybe asking for help and not being afraid to fail because we learn in our failures. And that's something hard for us. It's hard for a lot of us because that's not the school system that we were brought up in.
Yeah.
You are rewarded for knowing the right answers rather than failing and then learning from the failure.
Right.
And so it's hard for us, but the line between self-love and acceptance and complacency is not really about the line, right? It's about completely accepting ourselves and loving ourselves enough
to
change and grow. All right, that is Functional Faith Friday. If you need any prayer, let us know. You can leave it in the comments. We love to pray for you all. And if you want any guidance in any of these areas, if you're like, yes, 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 and amen, so be it. I love myself. I need to grow in love for myself. And I want to accept myself more. And I want to love myself enough to change and transform and open up to everything that God has for me. And you can identify one of these areas that you would like some support and some help in, then please connect with us. You can DM us or leave us a comment. And that is all that we have for you. We love y'all, and happy Friday. Go in peace and presence.